Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer by Forge College. So in our last lesson, we navigated the theoretical royalty rules of EIP 2981. While today, we are putting down the theory books and strapping on our engineering hard hats. We're going to look at the actual physical API infrastructure you need to successfully connect Web2 and Solana. We are talking about the foundations of API integration strategies. Here is our blueprint for today. We'll start by bridging the Web2 Solana divide, then meet the action bus. After that, we'll dive into translation and serialization, explore the three mapping patterns, map out an actual minting flow, and finally, wrap up with reconciliation and next steps.
All right, part 1, bridging the Web2 Solana divide.
Picture this boundary for a second. It's the exact spot where the chaotic, over-caffeinated, move fast and break things world of Web2 slams right into the strict, rule-following bouncer that is the Solana blockchain. Now, Web2 loves throwing around messy database CRUD operations, right? Create, read, update, delete. You're probably used to just firing off a basic post/orders and letting your central backend figure out the rest. But listen, Solana doesn't care about your loose database updates. It demands clear, intent-driven actions to actually understand what you want to do. It needs semantic operations, like create order or ment asset. You have to tell the blockchain exactly what your business intent is, no guessing allowed.
Moving on to part 2, let's meet the action bus.
So, how exactly do we get from raw Web2 CRUD to specific on-chain intent? Well, we need a highly reliable transit system. I want you to think of the action bus as the ultimate translator and diplomat combined. It's a transport layer that takes your Web2 application's messy intent and makes absolutely sure it's dressed appropriately. You know, suit, tie, perfectly tailored, before it even thinks about approaching the Solana blockchain.
This bus route really just has 3 main stops. First up, we've got the Web2 producer initiating the action, basically saying, hey, I want to mint an asset. Second is the bus itself, acting as the bridge, which validates, enriches, and packs that data securely. And third is the consumer, which in our scenario is the Solana program that processes the final on-chain instruction. The bus's entire job is to ensure that by the time the producer's request reaches the consumer, it is absolutely flawless.
Which brings us to part 3, translation and serialization. Before we let any data onto the action bus, we got to make sure its luggage is packed perfectly according to the rules of our destination. Normalization is what removes all ambiguity from the equation. It's kind of like enforcing a super strict carry-on bag size at the airport, so the Solana program doesn't reject your transaction right at the boarding gate. Notice the exactness here. Timestamps must be in milliseconds since the Unix epoch. Financial amounts have to be in U64 smallest units. And public keys. They need to be exactly 32-byte base 58 strings. If your Web2 app tries to send a date as next Tuesday, or an amount is just some loose decimal, the bus throws it out immediately, no exceptions.
Once the data is normalized, we hit serialization. Here's the thing. Solana couldn't care less about your helpful human-readable JSON files. It reads cold, hard, raw binary. So serialization is the act of translating that perfectly packed bag into the exact deterministic binary language the destination demands. By converting our payload into this deterministic binary format, we basically guarantee that the Solana program can parse the instruction without any confusion whatsoever.
Okay, part 4, the 3 mapping patterns. Depending on your app's traffic and urgency, you actually have 3 main transit routes to choose from here, essentially contrasting speed against eventual consistency. First up is proxy forward, where you direct the payload straight to the transaction. It's super fast, great for low latency, but it does require a highly trusted backend. Second is command queue, which enqueues a normalized command to be handled asynchronously. This one is absolutely perfect for high-throughput apps. And third is event emit, where Relayer listens to Web2 events, which gives you this incredible auditability and observable provenance. But, you know, in software architecture, there are always trade-offs, right? You have to pick your pattern based on your specific trust and latency requirements. Proxy forward requires highly secure signing key management on your backend just because it's so direct. Command queue takes the pressure off the front end, but it demands robust reconciliation logic to keep track of what happened. And event emit, it gives you that beautiful observable provenance, sure, but it introduces more components and variable latency. You're constantly trading developer simplicity against on-chain safety. Let's put this into practice with part 5, mapping a minting flow. Here is your strictly sequential 5-step instruction manual to turn any Web2 endpoint into a successful Solana transaction. Step 1, identify the semantics. 2, define the canonical payload. 3, choose your mapping pattern. 4,
implement the serialization, and 5, define the response. Honestly, if you follow this precise blueprint, which by the way reflects the exact best practices we teach in the learning programs over at Forge College, you can reliably scale your hybrid applications.
Following our blueprint, let's define the exact payload for a post-mint request. The recipient public key is base 58. The amount is an integer. The metadata hash is a hex-encoded SHA-256 string. The requester ID is a UUID, and the timestamp is in milliseconds. This strictness means any request missing a valid metadata hash or using the wrong number format gets bounced instantly by the bridge. Literally nothing but perfectly compliant data gets a ticket to ride.
For this specific minting flow, we're going to select the Command Q pattern. By utilizing Command Q, the fast Web2 side simply drops off its payload and gets a wonderfully quick HTTP 202 accepted response. The user interface stays snappy and your users stay happy. Meanwhile, our bus driver, the relayer, patiently and asynchronously handles the actual heavy lifting of the on-chain submission in the background. Finally, Part 6, Reconciliation and Next Steps. Let's be real for a second. Things don't always go exactly to plan. What happens when there's a massive traffic jam on the network? Well, you absolutely must implement observability so you can reconcile the optimistic everything is fine Web2 state with the final unchangeable on-chain reality. Your essential tools here are command identifiers, canonical error codes, webhook status updates, and polling pathways. These tools ensure your Web2 backend always knows what the relayer is doing, so your users are never left staring at a spinning loading wheel indefinitely. When things do fail, your action bus needs to know exactly what kind of failure it's dealing with. Is it a transient failure? Like temporary network congestion or an expired block hash? If so, the system should simply retry. Or is it a permanent failure, like an invalid input or permission being actively denied? In that case, retrying is just a waste of time. The bus needs to abort, generate a canonical error code, and notify the user immediately.
The ultimate takeaway is this. When you treat serialization as part of your contract, you remove a common source of ambiguity and testing friction. Strict validation and perfectly packed data aren't just nice to have. They are the absolute contractual foundation of a stable hybrid application. Without this rigorous engineering, your fast Web2 backend and your secure Solana programs will honestly just be shouting past each other. So, I'll leave you with this final engineering challenge. Which messy, ambiguous CRUD operations in your current backend are quietly sabotaging your leap into Web3? It is time to map them into deterministic, intent-driven schemas. Grab your blueprints and visit forge.college to master more Web3-related topics and continue your learning journey. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building!